Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a painting of Charlie Chaplin on a wood panel I found up in my room. I haven't worked on wood in probably like 9 months if I'm being honest, and I forgot how much I absolutely love it. I also forgot how much the wood drinks up all of the paint. So if you ever paint on wood, be sure to use acrylics because it will drink up any sort of watercolor, and that should be obvious, but like, you know, you might not know that, so yeah. So before I started filming, I had done the foreground of the painting and sketched out the faces. I originally wanted to do like the famous picture from his film, The Kid. If you guys have ever seen that movie, it's pretty funny. It's, of course, it doesn't have any words because it's one of the silent films. But it's the scene I'm talking about is where him and the kid were peeking out from the corner that they were standing behind. I think they were hiding from a cop in the scene. But this picture is just like super overused in art, and if you like search Pinterest or anything, you will see that it is overused in most paintings done of Charlie Chaplin or that picture. So what I ended up doing, as you can see, is a side-by-side of him as a young man looking normal and then his well-known character. So in this picture, I'm going to be going for his very famous look from his movie, The Tramp.
He's a tramp, but they love him.
Even though it's a black and white film, you can tell he almost appears to be having a very, like a cake face look, a lot of makeup, his dark eye makeup and his toothbrush mustache definitely stand out. That's one thing. His mustache was a cutout, so I have to be very careful not to make it look too realistic looking, which is actually quite hard when you're used to wanting to like do all of those little tiny details. So I don't remember if it was said in the last video, so I'll say it here as like an announcement-y sort of thing. I'll be doing more videos like this, sort of history type art videos, just to make these a bit more educational and fun for you all. It's also fun for me because in this process I do learn a lot about the subject, and I don't know, history is just fun, so yeah. So without further ado, let's get right down to some of the history. So here's the facts. Charlie was born April 16th, 1889, in Walworth, England, to Hannah Chaplin and Charles Chaplin. His childhood mostly consisted of poverty and hardship, and is probably the craziest rags to riches story ever told. Chaplin's early years were spent with his mother and brother in Sydney in London. His mother Hannah was not bringing in any income other than occasional nursing and dressmaking, and Charlie's father provided no financial support. As the situation deteriorated, Chaplin was sent to a workhouse when he was 7 years old. He even then housed at Central London District School for Paupers. Charlie and his brother Sidney were sent to live with their father, whom they had hardly knew at the time. Also, he was a severe alcoholic, and life there was bad enough to bring about a visit from the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Their father died 2 years later at 37 years old from cirrhosis of the liver. Charlie started performing on stage as early as 5 years old, and at 10 years old he became a member of a group called the 8 Lancashire Lads Clog Dancing Troupe, with whom he had toured English music halls throughout 1899 through 1900. At 14, shortly after his mother relapsed, he registered with a theatrical agency in London's West End. He was given his first role as a newsboy in Harry's Arthur Saintbury's A Romance of Cockney. It opened in July 1903, but the show was unsuccessful and closed 2 weeks later. Sainsbury secured a role for Charlie in Charles Frohman's production of Sherlock Holmes. where he played Billy, the page boy, and 3 nationwide tours before leaving the play. He finished one final tour of Sherlock Holmes in the early 1906. He soon found work with a new company, and in May 1906, Chaplin joined the juvenile act Casey's Circus. Charlie began by playing a series of minor parts, eventually playing starring roles in 1909, and in April 1910 he was given the lead in a new sketch, Jimmy the Fearless, and it was very successful. Half a year into the second American tour, Chaplin was invited to join the New York Motion Picture Company. He met with the company and signed for $150 per week. In September 1913, Charlie arrived in Los Angeles in early December and began working for the Keystone Studio on the 5th of January in 1914 at age 24. In June 1917, he signed to complete 8 films for the first National Exhibitor Circuit in return for $1 million, which would be around $19 million today. He built his own studio on 5 acres of land off Sunset Boulevard. It was completed in January 1918, and Chaplin was given freedom over the making of his own pictures. In 1919, Chaplin co-founded the distribution company United Artists, which gave him complete control over his films. His first feature film, full-length, was The Kid, followed by A Woman of Paris. In the 1940s, Charlie got into filming more political subjects and controversies, which changed his fortunes and severely affected his popularity in the United States. Parallels between Charlie and Adolf Hitler were very widely noted. They had both been born a few days apart, both had risen from poverty to the world prominence, and Hitler wore the same toothbrush mustache as Chaplin. It was this physical resemblance that crafted the plot for Charlie's next film, The Great Dictator, which satirized Hitler and attacked fascism. Making a comedy about Hitler was seen as very highly controversial, but Charlie's financial independence allowed him to take the risk. He wrote, "I was determined to go ahead, for Hitler must be laughed at." In New York, he boarded the RMS Queen Elizabeth with his family on September 18, 1952. The next day, Chaplin's re-entry permit was revoked and stated that he would have to submit to an interview concerning his political views and moral behaviors in order to re-enter the U.S. Chaplin did not attempt to return to the United States after his re-entry permit was revoked, and instead sent his wife to settle his affairs. The couple decided to settle in Switzerland, and in 1952 the family moved into their permanent home. Chaplin remained a controversial figure throughout the 1950s, especially after he was awarded the International Peace Prize. In 1972, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science offered Chaplin an honorary award. Chaplin was initially hesitant about accepting, but decided to return to the U.S. for the first time in 20 years. On Chaplin's 83rd birthday, he accepted the reward. He was given a 12-minute standing ovation, the longest in Academy history. He flew back to his home in Switzerland a few days later, and in 1975, Charlie was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II at Buckingham Palace. His career spanned more than 75 years, from childhood in the Victorian era until a year before his death in 1977. He wrote, directed, produced, edited, starred in, and composed the music for most of his films. He was a perfectionist, and his financial independency enabled him to spend years on the development of a production of his films. In 1977, on December 25th, Charlie died at his home in Switzerland at age 88. He died from a stroke in his sleep. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. I thoroughly enjoyed filming it for you and just learning all of this myself. I did not know a lot of these facts about him. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and stay tuned for next week's. If you have any history sort of things you'd like to see, leave them in the comments and let me know. Stay positive or whatever. Have a wonderful week. Bye.